pregnancy test falls from her luggage at baggage claim. We hadn't touched in 4 months. The pink strip clatters across the polished airport floor, sliding to a stop against my shoe. Around us, the carousel keeps turning, bags tumbling down like dominoes, but time freezes. Seattle. The luggage tag reads, Seattle. She was supposed to be in Portland. Mike? Her voice cuts through the mechanical hum. My wife, Rebecca, stands 3 feet away, her face draining of color as she follows my gaze to the test strip on the floor. Her hand moves instinctively to her stomach, a gesture so small, so telling. 4 months. That's how long it's been since we've been intimate. 4 months of separate bedrooms after the last miscarriage nearly broke us. The doctor said we needed time. Time to heal, time to grieve, time apart. I can explain, she whispers, but her eyes are already admitting what her mouth won't. The security guard walks past, his radio crackling. A child somewhere cries for their mother. The normalcy of it all makes this moment feel like drowning in broad daylight. I pick up the test, 2 lines, clear as day. My wedding ring catches the fluorescent light as my hand trembles. When? The word comes out strangled. The trip. She reaches for her suitcase, won't meet my eyes. Can we talk in the car? The other passengers flow around us like we're rocks in a stream. A woman bumps into me, apologizes, keeps moving. Life keeps moving. But we're frozen here, in this terrible moment of discovery. She whispers a name, not mine. The drive home stretches like a funeral procession. Rebecca sits pressed against the passenger door, her wedding ring conspicuously absent from her left hand. I noticed it at the airport, but couldn't process it then. Now, in the confined space of our Honda, her bare finger screams the truth. Put on your seatbelt, I say, because what else is there to say? The familiar streets of our neighborhood pass by the windows. The Johnsons have put up their Christmas lights early. The Patel's dog barks at our car like always. Everything the same, everything different. The GPS history on the dashboard shows recent destinations. I see it when she shifts, trying to hide her phone screen. An address I don't recognize. Downtown. A hotel. How long? I finally ask as we stop at the toll booth. The operator, a kid maybe 19, takes our money with a smile. Have a blessed day, he says. I want to laugh or scream. Mike, please. How long? Since the conference. Her voice is barely audible. The one you couldn't attend. 3 weeks ago. The medical conference in Seattle, except the luggage tag said Seattle, and she told me Portland. The lies stack up like the bills on our kitchen counter, overwhelming and undeniable. The GPS showed an address I'd never seen. In our kitchen, the evidence spreads across the granite counter like a crime scene. She stands by the coffee maker, her hands shaking so badly she can't manage the simple task of filling it with water. I take the pot from her, set it aside. The calendar on the wall shows her ovulation cycle, carefully tracked for years of trying. The bitter irony isn't lost on either of us. Who? I ask, though part of me already knows. There's only one reason she'd protect a name, only one person whose identity would hurt more than a stranger's. It doesn't matter. It does. I pull out my phone, scroll to the photos from the conference. You sent me this, said it was the girls from your department. I zoom in on the background. That's not Portland, that's Seattle's Space Needle. The coffee mug in her hand, the one that says, "World's Best Mom" from the pregnancy that didn't make it, trembles. Dark liquid sloshes over the rim, burning her fingers. She doesn't flinch. Say the name, Rebecca. If you've ever discovered a betrayal in a single moment, leave "I understand" below. Because in this moment, watching my wife of 12 years crumble against our kitchen counter, I understand that some truths are too heavy for words. It's David, she whispers. Your friend Mark's husband. The mug shatters on the tile floor. Coffee spreads like blood across the white ceramic. Neither of us moves to clean it. David, Mark's David, the man who stood as a groomsman at our wedding, the man whose son, Jake, plays soccer with our daughter Emma every Saturday. David is gay, I say stupidly, as if stating this fact will rewind time, undo the pregnancy test, erase the past 3 weeks. No, Rebecca says quietly. He's not. The room spins. I grip the counter edge, feeling the cool granite under my palms. We were supposed to have dinner with Mark and David next week. Our daughters are best friends. Our lives are intertwined like DNA strands, and now... Does Mark know? She shakes her head. Fresh tears streak her makeup. The kitchen light catches them, making her face shimmer like it's dissolving. We have to tell him. No! She lunges forward, grabs my arm. Please, think about Emma. Think about their son, Jake. This will destroy everything. You already destroyed everything. I pull away, reach for my phone. He deserves to know. But as I scroll to Mark's number, I hesitate. Mark, who just posted yesterday about his 10th anniversary coming up. Mark, who thinks his husband is at a medical conference in Boston right now. The phone rings before I can second-guess myself. Mike! Mark's voice is warm, unsuspecting. Hey, buddy, David just texted. He's extending his Boston trip by a day. Some emergency surgery came up. Can you pick up Jake from soccer Saturday? My throat closes. Rebecca watches me, her hand still on her stomach. Protecting what's growing inside her. David's child. Mike, you there? Yeah. I force the word out. Mark, we need to talk. Everything okay? You sound... Where are you right now? Home. Why? Mike, you're scaring me. I look at Rebecca. She's sliding down the cabinet, knees pulled to her chest, the broken mug shards dangerously close to her bare feet. Mark said David never came home that week. The silence on the other end of the line stretches until I think we've been disconnected. Then, quietly. What week? The Seattle conference, 3 weeks ago. Mike, Mark's voice changes, hardens. David was in Seattle 3 weeks ago for the surgical conference. No, he wasn't at the conference, Mark. Another pause. I hear him moving, a door closing. How do you know that? I close my eyes. Because he was with Rebecca. The line goes dead. 20 minutes later, Mark arrives at our door. His face is a mask of controlled fury, but his hands shake as he shows me his phone. I tracked his phone history. You're right. He was at the Marriott downtown. But Mike, he swipes to another screen. He's been there 6 times in the past 2 months. Rebecca gasps from behind me. I turn to see her gripping the door frame, face pale. 6 times? Different credit card, Mark continues, his voice clinical now, detached. I found it hidden in his desk. There are charges for flowers, jewelry, hotels, multiple hotels. He looks at Rebecca with something between pity and disgust. You weren't the only one. She runs to the bathroom. We hear her retching. Emma's voice drifts down from upstairs. Daddy? Is Mommy okay? Go back to bed, sweetheart, I call up, my voice artificially calm. Mommy's just not feeling well. Mark sinks into our couch, the one where our families have shared countless movie nights. Jake doesn't know, he says. He thinks his dad hung the moon. Emma doesn't know either. We sit in shared misery. 2 men discovering our lives are fiction. The bank statement in Mark's hand shows a charge from yesterday. Another hotel, this time in Chicago, where David supposedly is now. My phone buzzes, Rebecca's mother, asking about Thanksgiving plans. The normalcy of it feels obscene. Next week, we're supposed to gather around a table and give thanks. For what? For the truth finally surfacing? There's more, Mark says quietly. He pulls out a prescription bottle from his pocket. I found these in his car. Prenatal vitamins. Not the brand Rebecca takes. I saw hers in your bathroom last time I was here. The ultrasound date confirmed everything. I find Rebecca in our bedroom, pulling clothes from drawers with mechanical precision. The ultrasound image lies on the bed. She must have had it done privately. The date stamp shows last week. The measurements indicate 8 weeks. 8 weeks, I say, doing the math. The first hotel visit. She doesn't respond, just keeps packing. I pick up the image. This tiny bean of a person who will never know a normal family. Were you ever going to tell me? I found out in Seattle. I was scared, confused. So you ran to him again? No, she spins around. I haven't seen him since. I've been trying to figure out how to lie to me, pass off his baby as mine. Her silence is answer enough. From the hallway, Emma's small voice. Daddy? Why is Uncle Mark crying downstairs? My daughter stands in her princess pajamas, clutching the stuffed rabbit she's had since birth. Her dark hair, so like her mother's, is messy from sleep. Those eyes, though, those are mine. The one thing Rebecca gave me that was real. Come here, baby. I pull her into my arms, carry her back to her room. Over her shoulder, I see her desk, covered in drawings. One shows our family, 4 stick figures holding hands. Mommy, Daddy, Emma, and a question mark labeled baby brother. Mommy, why is Aunt Sarah crying? That's tomorrow's problem. Tonight I tuck my daughter in, kiss her forehead, and lie. Everyone's just tired, sweetheart. Go back to sleep. But I know none of us will sleep tonight. Downstairs, Mark is calling someone, a lawyer probably. Rebecca is packing, and somewhere in Chicago or Boston or wherever he really is, David continues his deception, unaware that his house of cards has finally collapsed. The coffee stain on the kitchen floor is dried to a dark shadow when I return downstairs. Mark is gone, but he's left a note. Sarah doesn't know yet. I need to tell her in person. Don't do anything until we talk tomorrow. For the kids. For the kids. The phrase echoes as I survey the wreckage of our home. The broken mug, the calendar with its futile fertility tracking, the wedding photo on the mantle, all 4 of us smiling at something off camera. David and Mark, Rebecca and me, so young, so certain of our futures. Rebecca appears with her suitcase. I'm going to my mother's. No, the word comes out harder than intended. You're pregnant. It's below freezing. You're not driving anywhere tonight. You can't keep me here. I'm not keeping you. I'm asking you to think about Emma. She wakes up tomorrow and you're gone. What do I tell her? She sets down the suitcase, and for a moment, I see the woman I married. Tired, scared, human. I don't know how we got here, she whispers. Neither do I. But as I look at the ultrasound image still in my hand, I know exactly where we're going. Lawyers, custody battles, explanations that will never satisfy an 8-year-old's questions about why her family exploded. My phone buzzes, a text from an unknown number. When I open it, my blood runs cold. It's a photo of David with a woman I don't recognize. She's obviously pregnant, her hand on his chest, his wedding ring visible on his finger. The timestamp is from today. The message below reads, "Thought you should know, there are others." I show Rebecca. She takes the phone with trembling hands, stares at the image, then laughs, a broken, hollow sound. We were all so special, weren't we? Outside, snow begins to fall, covering our neighborhood in pristine white. By morning, it will hide all the ugly truths underneath, but we know they're there. We'll always know they're there. Tomorrow, we'll start the awful process of untangling our lives. Tonight, we sit at opposite ends of our house, prisoners of a truth too terrible to speak aloud. The pregnancy test from the airport sits on the coffee table between us, evidence of a crime that has no name, no category, no precedent in our carefully ordered lives. Upstairs, Emma sleeps, unaware that her world has fundamentally shifted, that tomorrow the questions will begin, that the drawing of 4 figures holding hands will never be completed. The coffee maker beeps, finally ready after all this chaos. Neither of us moves to pour a cup. We just sit in the darkness, waiting for dawn, waiting for courage, waiting for something that feels like forward motion in a world that's suddenly spinning backward. Mark texts one more time before midnight. Found David's real location. He's in Seattle with someone named Claire. She's keeping the baby. Seattle, where it all started, where it continues, apparently, even now. Rebecca stands, walks to the window. Her reflection in the glass is ghost-like, translucent. "We don't leave," she says quietly, reciting our wedding vows. "That's what we promised. We don't leave." But she already has. We both have. We're just bodies now, going through motions in a house that used to be a home. The next morning arrives like a hangover, slow, painful, and unwanted. Emma finds me on the couch where I spent the night, her school uniform already on, backpack ready. She's made herself cereal. The milk splashes over the edge of her princess bowl. "Where's Mommy?" "She's upstairs, sweetheart, not feeling well." Emma sets down her spoon carefully, the way she does when she's thinking hard about something. "Is it because of the baby?" My coffee mug freezes halfway to my lips. "What baby?" She pulls a folded paper from her backpack. It's a drawing, stick figures like the one I saw last night, but this one is different. There's Mommy with a round belly, Daddy standing apart, and in between them, a small figure labeled Jake's new brother. "I heard you and Uncle Mark talking," she admits. "Jake heard his dad's fighting on the phone. He said his daddy David is giving someone else a baby." She looks up at me with those devastating eyes. "Is Mommy getting a baby from Mr. David too?" The innocence of her question breaks something in me. How do you explain adult betrayal to someone who still believes in Santa Claus? "Emma, baby?" "I'm not a baby." She pushes the cereal away. "Jake says families break sometimes, like Legos. You can build them again, but they're never exactly the same." When did 8-year-olds become philosophers? Rebecca appears in the doorway, hollow-eyed, still in yesterday's clothes. She sees Emma's drawing and her face crumbles. "Emma, I don't want to talk to you." Emma grabs her backpack, heads for the door. "Mrs. Chen is driving carpool today." "Emma, please." But our daughter is already gone, the door closing with a quiet finality that's worse than a slam. Rebecca sinks into Emma's abandoned chair, staring at the drawing our daughter left behind. In the corner, barely visible, Emma has drawn herself, holding hands with Jake, their parents' tiny figures in the background. "She knows," Rebecca whispers. "They both know." My phone rings. Mark. "Can you meet me at Patterson and Associates in an hour? Sarah's flying back from her mother's. She knows now. She's processing." I look at Rebecca. "I have to go." "Mike, please, can we talk about—" "No, not yet. Maybe not ever." I grab my keys, pause at the door. "Call your mother. Tell her you need her to pick up Emma from school. Tell her whatever you want about why. How do we shield children from adult failures?" The question haunts me as I drive to the lawyer's office, past the park where Emma learned to ride her bike, past the church where Rebecca and I married, past the life we built and destroyed in equal measure. Patricia Chen's law office smells like leather and resignation. She's handled enough divorces to recognize the shell-shocked look Mark and I wear. We sit across from her massive desk while she reviews the papers we've hastily assembled. "Let's start with the basics," she says, her voice professionally gentle. "Michigan is a no-fault divorce state, which helps, but the pregnancy complicates things." She looks at me over her reading glasses. "In this state, you're the presumed father." The words hit like ice water. Even though it's biologically impossible, yes, you're married. The law assumes any child born during the marriage is yours. You'll need to formally contest paternity. How? DNA test, court petition. But until then, legally, you're responsible for support. Mark laughs bitterly from beside me. "David's baby, Mike's responsibility. Perfect." Patricia turns to Mark. "Your situation is different, but equally complex. Same-sex marriage means the same divorce laws apply, but custody of Jake..." David's not Jake's biological father, Mark says quietly. We use my sperm, a surrogate. David has no biological claim. But he's on the birth certificate? Yes. Then he has parental rights. Unless you can prove unfitness. He's having babies with multiple women while married to a man, Mark snaps. Doesn't that count? Patricia's expression remains neutral. Infidelity doesn't automatically mean unfit parenting. Has he ever endangered Jake? Neglected him? Mark deflates. No, he's actually a good father. That's the worst part. We sit in silence, processing the legal maze ahead. Patricia slides forms across the desk. Petitions, affidavits, financial disclosures. The business of ending a marriage reduced to paperwork. There's something else, I say, pulling out my phone to show the photo from the unknown number. Someone sent this. David with another pregnant woman. Patricia studies it. Do you know who sent it? No. Find out. If David has multiple situations, it could affect both your cases. Mark, it might establish a pattern of deception that could impact custody. Mike, it might help establish that Rebecca was part of a larger pattern, not the primary relationship. Why would that matter? Emotional distress damages if you pursue them. It's one thing if your wife had an affair. It's another if she was manipulated by someone with a pattern of predatory behavior. Predatory. The word hangs in the air like an accusation. Mark's phone buzzes. Sarah. He steps out to take the call, and through the glass door, I watch him pace, his free hand gesturing wildly. Patricia pretends to review papers, giving us the illusion of privacy. Your daughter, she says quietly. Emma, how's she handling this? She knows something. Drew a picture. I describe the morning's revelation. Patricia nods knowingly. Children often know more than we think. I recommend counseling for her and for you. This is trauma, Mr. Williams. Don't underestimate it. Mark returns, his face grim. Sarah wants to meet, all of us. She says she knows who sent the photo. In this state, you're the presumed father. The coffee shop Sarah chooses is deliberately public, neutral ground where no one can make a scene. She's already there when we arrive, and I barely recognize her. Sarah, usually immaculate, looks like she's aged 5 years in 5 hours. Her eyes are red-rimmed, her usually perfect hair pulled into a messy bun. She doesn't stand when we approach, just pushes a manila folder across the table. I hired a PI 3 months ago, she says without preamble. I knew something was wrong. David was distant, secretive. I thought... She laughs bitterly. I thought he was having an affair with a man. Funny, right? Mark sits heavily beside me. Sarah, don't. She holds up a hand. I'm not ready for apologies or explanations. Just look. I open the folder. Photos spill out. David with Rebecca at the hotel. David with a pregnant woman from the text. David with 2 other women we don't recognize. Restaurant receipts, hotel bookings, a spreadsheet tracking his movements. 4 women that I've confirmed, Sarah says. Maybe more. Rebecca was number 3. She looks at me with something like sympathy. I'm sorry, Mike. Your wife was just another in a series, Rebecca. Just another. The word should make me feel better. She was deceived too, but they only deepen the betrayal. She threw away our marriage for someone who collected women like trophies. This one, Sarah points to the pregnant woman from the text, is Claire Martinez, surgical resident at David's hospital, 26 years old, due in 4 months. And this one, Mark indicates another photo, David's hand on another woman's stomach. Jennifer Walsh, pharmaceutical rep, had the baby 2 months ago. David's name isn't on the birth certificate, but he's been sending her money. The coffee shop buzzes around us. Normal people living normal lives, ordering lattes and discussing weekend plans. At the next table, a couple shares a piece of cake, celebrating something sweet and simple. The contrast is nauseating. Why? Mark asks, the question directed at no one, everyone, the universe. He's gay. We've been together 15 years. We have a son. Sarah stirs her untouched coffee, watching the cream spiral. The PI thinks David's been struggling with his identity for years, living a double life, the perfect gay husband and father in one world, the straight player in another. She pulls out another document. I found his journal from before you were married. He talks about urges he thought he'd conquered. You read his journal? I read everything. Bank statements, emails, texts he thought he deleted. Sarah's voice hardens. When someone betrays you this fundamentally, privacy becomes irrelevant. My phone buzzes. Rebecca texting. Emma won't come out of her room at Mom's. She won't talk to me. I show it to the others. Sarah nods knowingly. Jake's the same. Locked himself in his room with his iPad. Won't eat. They're best friends, Mark says quietly. Emma and Jake. They do everything together. Not anymore, Sarah says. She pulls out her phone, shows us a text from Jake's teacher. He got in a fight at recess, told another kid that families are stupid and love is fake. 7 years old and already cynical. What have we done? There's more, Sarah continues, pulling out another photo. This one is different. David at what appears to be a medical clinic, holding paperwork. He got tested, full panel, 3 weeks ago. The implication hits us all simultaneously. Mark goes pale. He got tested after potentially exposing all of us to whatever he might have picked up from his activities. Sarah's clinical tone doesn't hide her rage. I got tested yesterday. I suggest you both do the same. And Rebecca. The coffee in my stomach turns to acid. Another betrayal. Another layer of violation. He didn't just cheat. He potentially put all of us at risk. I have his laptop, Sarah says suddenly. His personal one. The one he thinks I don't know about. She pulls out a slim silver computer. Password was Jake's birthday. Idiot. She opens it, turns the screen toward us. Email after email, dating back 2 years. Different women, same patterns. The conferences that weren't conferences, the surgeries that weren't surgeries. The elaborate architecture of deception. This one, she clicks on an email, is from Rebecca. I don't want to look but can't help myself. It's dated 3 weeks ago, the morning after Seattle. David, last night was a mistake. I'm married. You're married. We have children. This can't happen again. His response, sent within minutes. You said that last time. And the time before. See you Thursday. Thursday. The day she claimed to have a department meeting. The day I picked Emma up from school because Rebecca was running late. I'm going to be sick, I say, and mean it. Sarah closes the laptop. I'm filing for divorce Monday. Full custody of Jake. I have enough evidence to bury him. What about the baby? Mark asks. Claire's baby? That's Claire's problem, and Rebecca's. She looks at me. What are you going to do about your wife's pregnancy? The question I've been avoiding. The innocent life caught in this web of adult failures. I don't know. Well, figure it out fast, because David called me an hour ago. He knows we know. He's coming back from Seattle tonight. He wants to explain. I found something else. There were others. The lab waiting room feels like purgatory. Beige walls, uncomfortable chairs, the smell of antiseptic trying to mask human anxiety. Rebecca sits 3 chairs away, our first time in the same space since yesterday morning. Between us, the gulf of betrayal and a stack of outdated parenting magazines. I made the appointment for a paternity test, she says quietly. They can do it with a blood draw now. No risk to the baby. The baby. Not our baby. Not my baby. Just the baby. Why? I ask. We both know the answer. Because I need it documented. For the divorce. For custody of Emma. She looks at me then, and for a moment, I see the woman I fell in love with 14 years ago. I know I've lost you. I won't lose her too. You should have thought of that before. Before what? Before I was lonely? Before we spent months in separate bedrooms? Before you buried yourself in work and left me to grieve our miscarriages alone? Don't. The word comes out sharp enough that the receptionist looks up. Don't you dare make this about our losses. Isn't it, though? We lost 3 babies, Mike. 3. And each time you got quieter, more distant. I was drowning and you were absent. So, you ran to David? He listened. He was there. He was married to Mark, our friend. She has no response to that. The truth sits between us, ugly and undeniable. Mrs. Williams, a nurse calls. Rebecca stands, then looks back at me. Are you coming? Why would I? Because despite everything, you're still my husband. And because Emma will ask if you were here. Emma, always Emma. The thread that will keep us connected forever, no matter how much we might wish otherwise. I follow Rebecca into the examination room, watch as they draw vial after vial of blood. The technician is professionally cheerful, unaware she's documenting the end of a marriage with each tube she labels. We'll also need a sample from the potential father, she says. He's unavailable, Rebecca says. Well, we can test against the husband to rule out paternity. Will that work? The clinical nature of it, ruling out my paternity for my wife's child, should hurt. Instead, I feel nothing. I extend my arm, watch my blood fill the vials, each one evidence of what we've become. Results in 3 to 5 business days, the technician says. We'll call with the findings. In the elevator, Rebecca breaks the silence. David wants to meet. I know, Sarah told us. Us? Mark, Sarah, and me. We met this morning. Her face changes. Sarah knows? Sarah knows everything. Has known for months, apparently. Private investigator. Rebecca leans against the elevator wall. Oh, God. There's a Jennifer Walsh. Had his baby 2 months ago. And Claire Martinez. Due in 4 months. The elevator opens to the parking garage. Rebecca doesn't move. How many? At least 4 women, maybe more. She laughs, the same broken sound from last night. I thought I was special. God, I'm such a cliché. The lonely wife who falls for the charming liar. You're not a cliché. You're a cautionary tale. It's cruel, but I can't help it. The anger needs somewhere to go. My phone buzzes. Mark. David's here. My house. He's refusing to leave without talking to me. I have to go, I tell Rebecca. Mike, wait. She grabs my arm. What happens when the test confirms what we already know? I don't know. Will you ever be able to forgive me? I look at her, really look at her. The woman who gave me Emma, who held my hand through my father's death, who danced with me in our kitchen to no music just because. The woman who destroyed it all for a man who collected women like baseball cards. No, I say simply. I won't. Probability of paternity, 0%. Mark's house looks the same from the outside. Pristine lawn, perfect shutters, the American dream in suburban form. Inside, it's chaos. David sits on the couch, still in his scrubs, looking haggard, but somehow still maintaining that easy charm that fooled us all. Mike, he says when I enter, as if we're still friends, as if he didn't impregnate my wife. I'm glad you're here. I want to explain. Explain? Mark paces behind the couch, his hands clenched. Explain how you've been fucking women for 2 years while married to me? Explain how you have 2 babies and another on the way? It's not what you think. It's exactly what we think. Sarah enters from the kitchen, Jake nowhere in sight. I have photos, David. Emails, credit card statements, your journal. David's face changes, the mask slipping. You read my journal? Every word, including the part where you describe your conquests. Rebecca was conquest number 3, by the way. I watch David process this, watch him realize the game is over. He leans back, runs his hands through his hair, the same gesture that probably charmed all those women. I never meant for it to go this far, he says finally. Which part? Mark asks. The lying, the cheating, the babies, all of it, any of it. David looks at Mark, and for the first time, I see something genuine in his eyes. Fear. I love you. I love Jake. But there's this part of me. This need I can't explain or control. Bullshit, Sarah spits. You made choices. Every hotel room, every lie, every time you came home to your family pretending to be someone you're not. Those were choices. You don't understand? I understand perfectly. Sarah pulls out a document. This is a custody agreement. You'll sign it, giving me full custody of Jake with supervised visitation rights. Or I'll release everything to the medical board. Your career will be over. You can't. I can. I will. She sets the paper in front of him. You have 3 children out there who'll need financial support. You'll need your job. David looks at the paper, then at Mark. You're okay with this? Okay? Mark laughs bitterly. No, I'm not okay. Our son thinks love is a lie because of you. But Sarah's right. Jake needs stability and you need help. What about us? David asks. 15 years, Mark. There is no us. There never was. I was married to someone who doesn't exist. David signs the paper with shaking hands. Then he turns to me. Mike, don't. I cut him off. Just tell me one thing. Why Rebecca? Of all the women in the world, why my wife? He looks away. She was lonely, vulnerable, easy. The words hang in the air like a slap. Easy? My wife? The mother of my child. Easy. Get out, Mark says quietly. Pack your things and get out. David stands, moves toward the door, then stops. What about Jake? Can I at least say goodbye? He's at my mother's, Sarah says. And no, you'll see him when the court says you can, under supervision. David nods, defeated. As he reaches the door, he turns back one more time. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. It's worth nothing, Mark says. The door closes, and we all stand in the wreckage of David's departure. Sarah sinks into a chair. Mark stares at the signed custody agreement. And I think about Rebecca, waiting for test results we already know, carrying a baby that will always be evidence of the worst betrayal. What now? Mark asks. Now we rebuild, Sarah says. Without them. But as I look around this broken home, so similar to my own broken home just streets away, I wonder if rebuilding is even possible, or if we're all just rearranging debris, pretending it's architecture. My phone buzzes. Emma, texting from her grandmother's, Daddy, when can I come home? Soon, baby. But home will never be the same place again. She's not the first pregnant one. The moving truck arrives on a Tuesday, 3 weeks after the airport revelation. Rebecca watches from the bedroom window as I load boxes labeled kitchen and Mike's books and Emma's toys. Each box is a small funeral for the life we built together. Emma sits on the porch steps, refusing to help, refusing to acknowledge her mother's existence. She's wearing the soccer jersey from last season, the one that says Williams on the back, the name that won't be Rebecca's much longer. Emma, please, Rebecca calls from the doorway. Just talk to me. No, baby, I'm still your mother. Emma stands, turns to face Rebecca with eyes too old for 8 years. Jake's dad is still his dad too, but Jake says biology doesn't make you family, choices do. Where did she learn to weaponize wisdom? The moving crew, 2 guys who've clearly seen too many divorces, work with practiced efficiency, careful not to make eye contact with either of us. They know the script. Divide the furniture, split the photos, pretend not to notice the crying. I'm packing the garage when I find it, the pregnancy test from our first positive, the one that ended in miscarriage. Rebecca had kept it in a memory box with the ultrasound, the tiny hat we'd bought, the card her mother sent. I should throw it away, but instead I place it carefully in the box marked basement storage. Some griefs deserve to be kept, even when the person you grieved with becomes a stranger. The master bedroom furniture? One of the movers asks. She can have it, I say. I don't want to sleep in the bed where she dreamed of another man's child. Sarah arrives with Jake around noon. He and Emma immediately disappear into the backyard, two children bonding over their parents' failures. Sarah helps me wrap dishes in newspaper, each plate a memory we're cushioning against breaking. Mark found an apartment, she says, downtown, 1 bedroom. What about David? Staying with Claire, apparently, the pregnant one. She wraps a wedding gift, a crystal vase from Rebecca's aunt. At least until she finds out about the others. You're not going to tell her? Sarah considers this. No, let her have her delusion for a few months. The baby doesn't deserve to be born into chaos. Rebecca appears in the doorway, holding the box with our wedding china. Where should I? Just leave it, I say. I don't want it. She sets it down carefully, like it might explode. The lawyer called. The test results are in. We all know what they say, but she continues anyway. 0% probability. The words hang in the air like a verdict. Sarah doesn't look up from her wrapping. I continue packing tools I'll probably never use. The mundane continues despite the extraordinary collapse. What about the baby? Sarah asks suddenly, still not looking at Rebecca. What will you do? Rebecca's hand goes to her stomach, that protective gesture that should mean something but doesn't anymore. I'm keeping it. David doesn't want involvement. Of course he doesn't, Sarah says. 3 child support payments are enough for him. It's not about money. It's always about money, Sarah cuts her off. Everything else is just emotions. Money is what determines if that child eats, has health care, goes to college. Rebecca looks at me, seeking support she won't find. Mike, the house will be sold. Split the proceeds per the preliminary agreement. You'll need it for the baby. Our daughter? My lawyer will be in touch about custody. Emma appears in the doorway, Jake behind her. Mom, she says to Rebecca, and for a moment, Rebecca's face lights up. Then Emma continues. I'm staying with Dad. Emma, sweetie, we'll have shared custody. I don't want to. I'll tell the judge. Jake told me I can tell the judge where I want to live. Jake, 7 years old, already versed in custody law. What have we done to these children? Rebecca kneels down to Emma's level. Baby, please. I made a mistake, but I love you. You love Dad too, and us, but you wrecked it. Emma's voice is steady, matter of fact. Jake's dad wrecked their family too, so now we're making a new one. A new one? Emma takes Jake's hand. Me and Jake and Dad and Aunt Sarah and Uncle Mark. We don't need you or Mr. David. The cruelty of children is pure, uncomplicated by adult rationalization. Rebecca stands, tears streaming, and retreats to the house. I should feel victory, but all I feel is hollow. Emma, I start, but she's already heading back outside with Jake. Sarah watches them go. They're protecting themselves. It's what kids do when adults fail them. The movers finish loading. Rebecca signs the inventory, her signature shaky. I watch the truck pull away with half our life, heading to a storage unit until she finds an apartment that will accommodate a baby. Emma refused to say goodbye. The courthouse smells like old paper and broken promises. We sit in Family Court B, waiting for case number 24-30847, Williams versus Williams. Around us, other families dissolve in neat legal terms: custody, visitation, support, the language of ending. Emma sits between Sarah and me, wearing her best dress, the one she wore to last year's school concert. Jake is with Mark in the hallway. Children aren't usually allowed in divorce proceedings, but Emma insisted on writing a letter to the judge. Rebecca enters with her lawyer, visibly pregnant now at 14 weeks. She looks pale, tired, older. Her mother sits behind her, glaring at me as if I'm the one who destroyed everything. Patricia Chen nods to me as the judge enters. Judge Harrison, a woman in her 60s who's seen enough divorce to recognize patterns. She reviews the documents, the paternity test results, the custody petition, Emma's letter. "This is an unusual case," she begins. "Mrs. Williams, you're requesting joint custody despite admitting to infidelity that resulted in pregnancy by another man? Your Honor, I'm still Emma's mother. One mistake shouldn't..." According to these documents, it wasn't one mistake. It was multiple encounters over several weeks. Rebecca's lawyer interjects. "Your Honor, infidelity doesn't negate parental rights." "No, but it does speak to judgment." The judge looks at Emma's letter. "Your daughter has expressed a strong preference to live with her father. At 8 years old, her wishes carry weight." "She's been influenced," Rebecca starts. "By what? The truth?" The judge's tone is sharp. "Mrs. Williams, you made choices that fractured your family. Your daughter is responding to those choices." "Your Honor, I stand. I'm not trying to prevent Rebecca from seeing Emma, but I think supervised visitation initially would be..." "I don't need supervision with my own daughter." The judge raises her hand for silence. "Mr. Williams, what kind of arrangement are you proposing?" I look at Emma, then at Rebecca. Despite everything, she's still Emma's mother. "Every other weekend, Your Honor. Wednesday dinners, holidays alternating. But I want right of first refusal. If she can't watch Emma, Emma comes to me, not a babysitter." "That's reasonable," the judge says. "Mrs. Williams," Rebecca's lawyer whispers urgently to her. Finally, she nods. "I accept." "There's also the matter of the house and assets," the judge continues. "I see you've agreed to sell and split proceeds." "Yes, Your Honor." "And, Mr. Williams, you understand you have no financial obligation to the child your wife is carrying?" "I understand." The judge makes notes. "There's one more issue. Mrs. Williams, you're requesting spousal support." Patricia stands. "Your Honor, given the circumstances of the marriage's dissolution..." "I'm aware of the circumstances." The judge looks at Rebecca. "Mrs. Williams, you're employed?" "Part-time, but with the baby coming..." "The baby that isn't your husband's, the baby whose father should be providing support. He's uninvolved. Then file for child support from him. Mr. Williams is not responsible for another man's child." The judge's tone brooks no argument. "Spousal support denied." Rebecca sags in her chair. Her mother mutters something about unfairness. "I'll grant the divorce on grounds of irreconcilable differences," the judge concludes. "Custody to Mr. Williams with visitation as discussed. Assets split per agreement. Any questions?" "Your Honor," Emma says suddenly, standing up. "Can I say something?" The judge looks surprised but nods. "Go ahead, young lady." Emma pulls out a folded paper. Not the letter she wrote, something new. "I drew this." She unfolds it, showing a picture of 2 houses connected by a rainbow. "This is Dad's house, and this is Mom's house. The rainbow is me, going between them. But, see?" She points to the Dad's house side, where multiple stick figures stand together. "This is my real family now. Dad and Aunt Sarah and Uncle Mark and Jake. We take care of each other." "And your mom's house?" the judge asks gently. "She's there with the new baby, but I'm just visiting because..." Emma looks at Rebecca, then back at the judge. "Because she chose the baby over us, and we didn't leave. She did." The courtroom is silent. Rebecca covers her face with her hands. The judge had one more question, but she doesn't ask it. Instead, she nods to Emma. "Thank you for sharing that, Emma. You're a very brave girl." As we file out, Rebecca catches my arm. "Mike, please, don't let her hate me." "I won't let her hate you, but I won't make her forgive you either. That's her choice. She's 8, and you made adult choices that she has to live with. Actions have consequences, Rebecca, even with the people who love us most." Outside the courthouse, Mark waits with Jake. The boys have been crying, both of them, though Jake tries to hide it. Sarah joins us, and we stand there, this strange new configuration of broken families trying to become something whole. "Lunch?" Sarah suggests. The kids must be hungry. As we walk to the cars, Emma slips her hand into mine. Daddy, did I do okay? You did perfect, baby. Jake says his dad might have more babies out there, like surprise brothers and sisters. I look at Mark, who shrugs helplessly. What do you say to that? Maybe, I tell Emma, but you know what? You get to choose your real family, and you chose well. She nods, satisfied. We don't leave, right? Our new family? We don't leave, I confirm, the words meaning something different now. Not a marriage vow, but a promise to the people who stayed. Sarah made a decision about the baby. The call comes on a Thursday evening, 4 months after the divorce is finalized. Sarah's voice is strange, almost formal. Rebecca had the baby. I'm making Emma's lunch for tomorrow. Peanut butter and jelly, her favorite. My hand's still on the knife. Is everything okay? Define okay. She laughs, but it's hollow. It's a girl, 7 pounds, 3 ounces. David was there. I thought he wasn't involved. Claire kicked him out last month when she found out about the others. He's cycling back to Rebecca, apparently. I think about Rebecca in the delivery room with David, the man who destroyed 2 marriages, playing at being a family. How do you know all this? Because I was there too. What? She called me. Can you believe that? Said she had no one else. Her mother's sick, can't travel. And David's useless in a crisis. I abandon the sandwich, sit down. You went? I went, held her hand while she pushed out another woman's husband's baby. Watch David try to look paternal. Sarah's voice cracks. The baby's beautiful, Mike. She really is. Innocent in all this mess. What's her name? Lily Grace. A beautiful name for a complicated beginning. There's more, Sarah continues. Rebecca hemorrhaged, badly. She's okay now, but Mike, she almost died. And when she thought she was dying, she asked me to promise something. What? To make sure Emma knows her sister, to not let our anger punish the baby. I close my eyes. Emma's been doing so well these past months. The counseling has helped. She's laughing again, playing soccer with fierce determination, sleeping through the night. Do I disrupt that peace for a baby who represents everything that went wrong? Mike, you there? Yeah, I'm thinking. I told her I'd talk to you, that it would be your decision. What about David? Gone again, left the hospital 2 hours after the birth. Said he had to check on Claire. She's due next month. The cruelty of it takes my breath away. Rebecca, nearly dying, holding a baby whose father is already moving on to the next woman, the next child. I'll think about it, I tell Sarah. There's one more thing. I'm going to help her. What? Not Rebecca, the baby. I'm setting up a college fund for Lily, anonymous. Rebecca won't know it's from me. Why would you do that? Sarah is quiet for a moment. Because that little girl didn't choose any of this. And because Jake keeps asking if he has sisters now. The answer is yes, apparently. Several. They shouldn't suffer for their parents' choices. After we hang up, I stand in Emma's doorway, watching her sleep. She's kicked off her covers, sprawled like a starfish, completely at peace. On her nightstand is a photo from last week. Our new family at the park. Emma and Jake in the center, Sarah, Mark, and me around them. We look happy. We are happy. But there's a baby across town who shares Emma's DNA, who will grow up hearing some version of this story, who will wonder why her sister doesn't know her. What matters more, biological connection or chosen loyalty? I asked that question months ago, thinking the answer was obvious. Now, holding Emma's baby picture, the one from the day she was born, when Rebecca and I were still whole, I'm not so sure. The birth certificate arrived today. Father, blank. 6 months, Mark says, raising his beer. 6 months since D-Day. We're in my backyard. The house sold last month, but I'm renting it from the new owners until Emma finishes the school year. Some stability in the chaos. Sarah laughs. D-Day, appropriate. The kids are inside, building a blanket fort that spans 2 rooms. Their laughter drifts through the open window, a sound that seemed impossible 6 months ago. Claire had her baby, Mark says suddenly. Another girl. How do you know? David sent me a birth announcement. Can you believe that? Like we're still friends who share milestone moments. Sarah shakes her head. He really doesn't get it, does he? No. He asked if Jake could meet his sister. Mark's jaw tightens. I said no. That's 3 daughters in 6 months, I say. 3 different mothers. That we know of, Sarah adds. We sit with that reality. Somewhere in this city, David is creating children, like he's populating a small country, leaving destruction in his wake. Rebecca called, I tell them. Wants Emma to meet Lily. What did you say? I said I'd ask Emma. And Emma asked if Lily has cooties from David. I can't help but smile. Then she said maybe when Lily's older and can choose her own family. Smart kid, Sarah says. Jake's been asking about the babies too, Mark admits. His therapist says it's normal, trying to understand his place in this new reality. What do you tell him? The truth, that families come in all shapes, that DNA doesn't determine love, that his dad made mistakes, but it doesn't reflect on him. Does he understand? He's 7. He understands that his family looks different now. That's enough for today. Emma appears in the doorway, covered in glitter from some craft project. Daddy, Jake and I made something. She pulls us inside to see their creation, a family tree drawn on poster board. But instead of a traditional tree, it's more like a garden, different plants growing together. Emma and me as one flower, Jake and Sarah, and Mark as another, all sharing the same soil. Our teacher said to draw our family, Jake explains, but we didn't fit the regular tree. So we made our own, Emma adds proudly. At the bottom, in small letters, Emma has written something else. I lean closer to read, baby sisters, somewhere else, but still connected. She's drawn tiny seeds floating away from the main garden. Is that okay, Daddy? Emma asks. To include them even if we don't see them? I pull her close. It's perfect, baby. Sarah takes a photo of the kids with their family garden. This is going on the fridge, she declares. As she does, her phone buzzes. She checks it, frowns. It's Rebecca. We all tense. She says thank you for the hospital bill. What hospital bill? I ask. Sarah colors. I may have paid her outstanding balance from the delivery, anonymously, or so I thought. Sarah, she nearly died, Mike, and that baby, Lily deserves a chance without medical debt hanging over her start. Mark looks at his ex-wife with something like awe. You're a better person than I am. No, I'm just tired of being angry. It's exhausting. She looks at the kids' family garden. They're showing us how to do this, how to reimagine family when the traditional one explodes. Emma asked if we could visit the baby. Thanksgiving arrives with unusual warmth for Michigan. The kids have been planning for weeks. Jake and Emma created handmade invitations, designed a menu, assigned everyone jobs. Their family garden has evolved into a full Thanksgiving theme, with each of us represented as something to be grateful for. Sarah arrives first, carrying a pie she definitely didn't make. Store-bought and proud, she announces. Mark follows with wine and a cheese board that suggests he's been watching too many cooking shows in his bachelor apartment. Uncle Mark, Jake launches himself at his father, still calling him Uncle to Emma, Dad when they're alone. The semantics of broken families. The turkey is my responsibility. A 16-pounder that seemed like too much for 5 people, but now feels like a statement. We're still a family. We still celebrate. We still give thanks. Can I help? Emma asks, wearing the apron Rebecca bought her last Christmas. The irony isn't lost on me, but Emma doesn't seem to notice or care. You can help Aunt Sarah with the table. I want it fancy, Emma declares, like a real family dinner. A real family, as opposed to what we were before, or what we are now. Sarah and Emma spread my grandmother's tablecloth, the one Rebecca thought was too formal for everyday use. We're using the good china too, the wedding set Rebecca left behind, reclaiming beautiful things from ugly memories. Mark and Jake work on place cards, each one decorated with drawings. Jake makes one for each of us, then pauses. Should I make one for Dad? My other dad? The room stills. Mark looks at me, then Sarah, then back to his son. Do you want to? No, but maybe for the babies? They didn't do anything wrong. 7 years old and already parsing blame from innocence. We can make cards for them, Emma says, but put them on the windowsill, like they're invited in spirit but not in person. Where does she get this wisdom? They make 3 small cards, Baby Lily, Baby Claire, Baby Jenny, and line them on the windowsill like an altar to complicated families. The meal comes together with the chaos of people who aren't used to cooking together but are trying anyway. Mark burns the rolls. Sarah oversalts the mashed potatoes. I forget to set the timer for the green beans. But Emma and Jake don't care. They're busy creating a centerpiece from construction paper and gratitude. Everyone has to say 3 things they're thankful for, Emma announces as we sit down. Real things, not just family and food. I'll go first, Jake says. I'm thankful for Emma being my best friend, for Mom and Mike not being mean to each other, and for therapy, even though I hate it sometimes. We all laugh at the last one, but it's tinged with sadness. 7-year-olds shouldn't need therapy. My turn, Emma says. I'm thankful we don't have to pretend anymore. Thankful for our new family, even though it's weird. And thankful for Lily, even though I haven't met her, because she made me think about what family really means. Sarah tears up at that. Mark reaches over to squeeze her hand. Not romantic, just human. 2 people who were betrayed by the same person, finding solace in shared survival. Sarah, I prompt, I'm grateful for resilience, for learning that family isn't about blood or marriage certificates, and for you idiots who made sure Jake and I weren't alone. Mark? He thinks for a moment. Grateful for clarity, even though it hurt. For Jake being stronger than any kid should have to be. And for discovering I can be happy without being married. They all look at me. I look at the feast we've created from imperfection, at the kids' family garden on the wall, at the baby names on the windowsill like prayers for children we may never know. I'm grateful for consequences, I say finally, because they brought us here. I'm grateful Emma learned early that love is a choice, not an obligation. And I'm grateful for this table, where everyone chose to be here. That's beautiful, Daddy, Emma says. Then, with typical 8-year-old timing, can we eat now? We eat. We laugh. Jake gets gravy on his shirt. Emma sneaks turkey to the cat we don't technically have, but who lives on our porch. Sarah and Mark argue about football. It feels like family. It is family. After dinner, while the kids play video games, we adults sit on the porch with coffee and watch the sunset. Sarah pulls out her phone, shows us a photo someone sent her. It's Rebecca and David with baby Lily at some restaurant, trying to look like a family. David's hand is on Rebecca's shoulder, but his eyes are on his phone. Rebecca looks exhausted, defeated. The baby is beautiful, but seems like a prop in their attempted tableau. She made her choice, Sarah says, not unkindly. This is ours. As if on cue, Emma and Jake burst onto the porch, covered in whipped cream from some dessert disaster. We need help, they laugh. Emergency pie situation. We all rush inside to find they've attempted to make their own dessert. A creative interpretation involving store-bought pie, excessive whipped cream, and what appears to be every sprinkle in the house. It's family pie, Jake explains. Everyone adds something and it becomes something new. Is it even edible? Mark asks. Only one way to find out, Emma says, handing out forks. We each take a bite directly from the pie plate. No individual servings, no proper etiquette. It's terrible and perfect simultaneously. This is what family tastes like, Emma declares. Weird, but good. I catch Sarah and Mark exchanging a look. Not romantic, but something deeper. Understanding. Acceptance. We're all broken people raising children who refuse to be broken. Creating beauty from wreckage. My phone buzzes. A text from Rebecca. Happy Thanksgiving. Kiss Emma for me. I show it to Emma, she reads it, nods. Tell her Happy Thanksgiving too, and that maybe next year Lily can come. Just Lily. You sure? Jake says sisters should know each other, even half-sisters, even quarter-sisters, or whatever Claire's baby is to me. That's very mature of you. Emma shrugs. Jake and I decided. We're going to be the big kids who help the babies understand when they're older. Like, why their family is all chopped up and rearranged. Like family pie, Jake adds, and they dissolve into giggles. Later, after everyone has gone home and Emma is asleep, I stand in my kitchen looking at the family garden still taped to the wall. The seeds Emma drew, the babies scattered by adult choices, seem less like losses and more like possibilities. Maybe they'll grow into their own gardens. Maybe they'll find their way back to ours. Maybe both. I think about Rebecca, alone with a baby who will always be evidence of the worst year of our lives. About David, probably already planning his next deception. About the children they've created who will spend their lives navigating the wreckage. But mostly I think about Emma and Jake, building blanket forts and making terrible pie. Refusing to let adult failures define their capacity for joy. About Sarah and Mark, who could have chosen bitterness but chose grace instead. About this strange, improvised family we've built from the rubble of traditional ones. Share your chosen family story below. Because if this year has taught me anything, it's that family isn't about who you're obligated to love. It's about who shows up, who stays, who chooses to make terrible pie together rather than perfect dinners apart. The last photo on my phone from today shows all 5 of us covered in whipped cream and laughing. Emma and Jake in the center, Sarah, Mark, and me around them. We look ridiculous. We look happy. We look like a family. Not the family we planned, not the life we expected, just better. Because we chose it. Because we choose it every day. Because when everything else falls apart, we don't leave. We don't leave.